A Frosty St. Valentine's Day by CMBwriter. The night before St. Valentine's Day, it snowed. It wasn't a light dusting of flakes either, but a full storm complete of hollering winds and a foot of snow. For Rita, a sophomore in college, it meant classes were canceled. It also meant the plans she had of her boyfriend, Thomas, were utterly ruined. "It's unfair," she grumbled, pressing her forehead against the frosty window of her dorm room. The chill numbed her skin, but sadly didn't extend to her aching heart. "It is what it is, hun," remarked her roommate, Judy. Spinning an earbud in one hand and munching on potato chips with the other, she kept her eyes pinned on the newest K-drama she was binging. "You can't control the weather." Rita sighed and unglued her head from the glass. "I know. I miss Florida." Judy snorted. Noontime, and while it was no longer snowing, the roads hadn't been plowed around campus, so leaving wasn't an option. Even if the roads had been free, Rita doubted that anything would have been open anyway. Sadly, that included the nice Chinese restaurant she and Thomas had been wanting to try. Thomas. How was he? She bit her lip, glancing at her bed where she had tossed her phone aside after staring at it for an hour or two. Still no notifications. Even if he had lost power at his house, surely he would have texted her or something, especially today of all days. Judy closed her laptop and popped out her earbud. "Hey, you need to get your mind off of this. With this much snow, I'm stuck in here if you go insane, and I'm not about that life." Rita managed to smile, though it felt more like a grimace. "I'm not crazy yet." "Yet" being the key word there, said Judy. She grabbed a bag of M&Ms and slipped her feet into sloth slippers. "I'm heading down to the kitchen. Rachel, Sarah, and some others are going to be doing some baking. You're more than welcome to join us." "Maybe." Judy shrugged. "Whatever floats your boat." Before opening the door, however, she paused. "I get that this whole storm thing sucks. I know how excited you two are for your day today." She gestured at the beaded turquoise dress hanging from a hanger above a pair of silver flats. It had been the outfit Rita was supposed to wear tonight, and she had been brainstorming different hairstyle options with Judy all of last week. They had decided on an elegant but cute updo with a shell-shaped clip. Rita looked away, her eyes tearing up. "I'm just saying that even if it's not what you hoped for, you don't have to spend St. Valentine's Day alone," said Judy. "Your friends are always happy to celebrate with you." This time the smile Rita gave was more genuine. "Thanks." That's what I'm here for." Judy left. The room suddenly felt so much colder. Rita leaned back against her bed, staring up at the blank ceiling. It was white, just like all the snow outside. That stupid snow. She reached over and snatched her phone up to check it. Still nothing from Thomas. The tears welled up again, thicker, and she sniffed. Rita glanced at the door, her eyes drawn up to the crucifix hanging above it. "Lord, this sucks." Taking her glasses off, she rubbed at her face. "Whatever's going on, please take care of him." There wasn't anything she could do. The temptation to keep moping remained, but there wasn't much point to it, and feeling sorry for herself was only making the day more miserable. So she got up. She changed out of her pajamas into some cozy sweats and her favorite hoodie, braided her curly hair into two thick pigtails, and made a cup of apple cinnamon tea. The smell of her go-to drink made her smile, and she breathed in the spicy, sweet scent eagerly. With the warm drink in hand and a bit more energy, she went to join the girls downstairs. Taylor Swift blasted, accompanied by rounds of laughter and chatter. The delicious smell of baking wafted up the stairs, prompting Rita to quicken her pace. Rachel and Sarah were grappling, their faces and arms white from trying to get flour on each other. Judy rooted them on, switching from encouraging one girl to encouraging the other. Another girl was actually in the process of baking, pouring batter into cupcake liners while singing along to what was presumably her phone on speaker. Rita racked her brain for a name. Emily? Walking into the fray, Rita raised a hand. "Yo." Judy squealed and threw her arms around her. "You came!" The other girls also stopped and smiled. "We're making cupcakes," said Emily. "You are. I'm just here to make Sarah's life miserable," said Rachel, flicking a chocolate chip at said friend's direction. Sarah easily dodged and feigned an offended gasp. "How could you? On the day of love and everything!" Rita laughed, hopping onto a stool to help Emily. "Maybe it's how she shows affection." "See? She gets it." Rachel grabbed more ammo despite Emily's protests and reared her arm back. "Now feel the love!" Chaos ensued. Time really does fly by when you're having fun, and the next few hours were full of just that. From a batch of cupcakes burning because everyone was distracted by a sing-off, to funny stories and arguments over questionable online quiz results, to Judy posing atop a chair and proudly proclaiming Happy Singles Appreciation Day when the song All the Single Ladies played. Rita found that there was hardly a moment where she wasn't smiling or laughing. She still checked her phone every now and then, but Thomas hadn't said anything yet, and she decided not to fret so much. He had contacted her when he could. She knew him well enough by now to know. It was around 5 o'clock when Rita felt her stomach grumbling in annoyance. Despite all the treats and candies, she hadn't eaten much. "Anyone up for dinner?" she asked. "I'd love that." She jumped, spinning around. "Tom!" There he was, standing in full snow gear with a tired but wide grin. He held out his arms, and she rushed into them, squeezing him tightly. "Sorry I'm so late, sweetheart," he whispered, hugging her back. "It took a while to walk here for all that snow." "You dummy! Why would you do that?" He didn't live very far from her campus, but it was still a ridiculous distance to walk in this weather. "Why didn't you call?" she asked. "I wanted to surprise you." "Bro, do you have any idea how worried she's been?" Judy crossed her arms, giving him a stern frown. "Text something at least. Let the girl know you're alive." His face was already pink from the cold, but it grew redder, and he stuffed his hands into his pockets. "I'm sorry, Rita. I didn't think it would take so long. By the time I was outside, I just kept walking." Rita lightly punched his shoulder. "You could have frozen to death on the way here, dummy, and I wouldn't have known until I found your popsicle of a corpse." Judy came up and solemnly placed a plate of 2 cupcakes in Rita's hands. "It's been a delight having you as an honorable single lady, but now that your man is here, I'm afraid our time has come to an end, my friend." Rita laughed, accepting the gift. "Thanks." She looked at Thomas. "Ramen and cupcakes?" He grinned again. "Absolutely. I'm starving." They found an empty common room, and Rita set up her computer while Thomas heated up the instant noodles in the microwave. They cuddled up on the couch with a bunch of blankets and enjoyed their meal with a shared childhood favorite movie, Finding Nemo. After the movie, they snuggled and talked about whatever came to mind. Most of it was nonsense, but when it was of him, Rita didn't mind one bit. "Sorry I couldn't bring your present," said Thomas at one point. "It's fine," said Rita, booping his nose. "I have you, and that's all I want." Soon it got late, and after all the walking Thomas had done that day, he was yawning much earlier than usual. They called it a night and headed down to the hall entrance. Luckily, the men's dorm that Jacob, a friend of theirs, lived in was right by Rita's hall, so Thomas would be able to stay the night there with little fuss. Rita followed Thomas outside, and they stood there for a moment admiring the scenery. A half moon lit up the night, silver rays reflecting off of the glistening snow. Now that she no longer looked at it with bitter feelings, Rita could appreciate how pretty and almost magical it seemed. "It's beautiful tonight," she said, her breath turning into a little cloud. "It is." Thomas leaned down and kissed her. "And so are you." She buried her face into his jacket and hugged him again. "I'm really glad you came. I love you." He rested his chin on her head. "I love you too, my little Valentine." Their lips met for another gentle kiss, marking the end of a frosty, yet still special, St. Valentine's Day. The end. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my short story, A Frosty St. Valentine's Day. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and leave a comment, and look forward to the next video. Happy St. Valentine's Day. God bless.